Miss Hannah Cable, how are you, ma'am?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Oh, doing pretty good. You got a bucket list of trophies back there on the back wall, I see.
Yes, we do.
So tell me a little bit about you, where you're from, and we'll start there.
Well, I'm 17 years old and I'm from Cleves, Ohio. I've lived here my entire 17 years. I've been showing dogs inconsistently for 8 years, consistently for 6 years. I've been involved in coonhounds my entire life, since before I could even walk.
Now, is your parents the one that got you into this?
So my parents got me into the coonhound part of it all. We've been doing greyhound and coonhound water races for before I was even born. We haven't done that in quite a while since I got involved in this, but Kevin and Angie Cable got me Gambler and got me started with the bench shows, and Angie kind of showed me the basics and kind of taught me the ropes. And
So tell me something. When you first got into showing hounds, how much of like a change was it for you, coming from the greyhounds to coonhounds?
it was a pretty big change. On it, we've been coon hunting kind of off and on my entire life, but it was definitely a big change just to switch over, kind of like that full blown.
Yeah, yeah, and you hunt as well, don't you?
Yes, I do. Not
Yeah,
as much as I probably like to, but I
yeah.
do.
Now, what kind of hounds do you hunt?
I've hunted walkers. I've hunted, but I mainly hunt plot hounds at the moment. That's kind of where my heart's set right now is plots.
They got that grit.
Yes, they do.
I tell you, when you find a really nice plot, they're hard to find, but when you get one,
Yeah,
they're great.
I 100% agree there.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me, you've been tearing up the show world the last few years. You've been kicking butt, my butt too included. You've kicked my butt a few times. But tell me, as an up and comer, growing up in the sport, what would be a great piece of information you would give someone just now stepping into the sport like you did?
Honestly, the best piece of advice I wish I would have known when I first started is do your research and watch the adults. I had to learn that piece of it on my own, but I learned a lot from just going to the big shows and not even participating and just watching.
Yeah.
You pick up so many things from the adults who know what they're doing, and when you're trying to learn, it's one of the most helpful things I've found.
Absolutely. That was something when I was younger. I started, golly, when I was showing, I started, I think 13, 12, 13. And I never forget just sitting there and watching some of these folks and what you can learn by watching and like Megan Perez, watching her handle a
100%.
dog.
I've learned so much from her, and she doesn't even know it.
Yeah, watching Megan is amazing. I've always said Megan Perez is a heck of a handler. When you watch her, it's like, oh boy.
Yeah.
You got to beat her. But that's what I love about this sport is seeing someone your age, 17, and you're making us worry because you're such a great handler. And you got the accomplishments to back it up. How do you stay consistent?
Honestly, if I know I have an event coming up, I start at the minimum a month before that event. Dogs are being worked, they're being conditioned, they're ready to go. But during the summer, I've got events every weekend, so it's just kind of the things I'm working them every day. We're running, we're doing this, we're doing a little bit of everything just to stay in shape and stay where we need to be able to win.
A lot of people don't realize the work that goes into a show dog.
They really don't.
That they have no idea. I hear hunters and I hunt as well, quite shoot, that's about
Right.
all I do is hunt anymore. And I handle my mom's dogs and hunters talk about how difficult it is to keep a dog ready for the woods. They don't understand how difficult it is to keep a dog ready for the bench.
Yeah.
You have to have a dog with number one looks, confirmation. He's got to have the brain. If they don't have brains, I'm sure you've dealt with that.
Yeah.
You got to have a dog that can have it all and then
Yeah.
lock it in.
I 100% agree.
How many times you had to sit there and bite your lip because that dog won't stand long enough.
Yes.
Now, how hard is that to break?
I prefer to start off as soon as I get them as puppies. But, I've got Saddle Up Joe, and he was just a hunting dog. He didn't know much about the bench. He just kind of, whatever. And I honestly say that's a little bit harder than just training a puppy.
Yeah.
But you definitely have to be a lot more consistent with an older dog than you do with a puppy.
Because they're so
It's
headstrong by then.
Yes, they're set in their ways and they're not going to do what you want them to do. You have to figure out what makes them want to let them do what you want them to do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that can
But
be a
I
headache.
honestly I enjoy that challenge because I honestly think puppies and older dogs teaching them how to show, they're two separate challenges. You're opening two separate books.
Yeah, it's two different worlds. When you mess with a puppy to a grown dog, I had a lady message me not long back, and she said, "Can you work with my female?" And I said, "How old?" And she was older, and I went, "Oh, because I know, once
Right.
they get age on them, they're set in their ways."
Yep.
And I keep a firm hand with a dog. I notice that you're real stern, real firm, but I also notice how loving you are to your dogs as well. And
Yep.
that's a very important part of what we do is showing the loyalty in these hounds through love as well as, hey, look at this prospect on the bench.
Yep.
And what do you do as far as settling a dog down, getting them to get along well with you?
A lot of the time, it's not the dog's fault. It's my fault. I get myself so worked up and I have to calm myself down before they'll be able to calm down. And but I try and just talk to them and be easy with them, but also quick and firm. That way they don't have enough time to think, hey, I don't like what she's doing. They just kind of, oh, whoa, I don't like that, but I'm going to stay in here because I don't know what she's going to do next.
That's exactly right.
Good connection outside of the ring is just as important of having a good connection inside of the ring.
Yeah, and you can tell when they do.
Yes.
When someone enters a ring with a dog, you can look at that dog and you can go, "Oh, that dog has it," and that handler
Yeah.
has it, and they're together. You can tell when a team's clicking.
Yeah.
And you've shown against the best in the nation. I mean, it's just plainly put, you have, and you've also won against some of the best in the nation as well. When you start competing on that level, what does it feel like, and how do you handle yourself on a national level, showing at 17 years old?
Um, Honestly, there for quite a while, I didn't know how to handle myself, but taking a step back and honestly walking into the confirmation world has completely changed my output and outlook on a lot of things. And it's actually helped me more than anything. Junior showmanship, I can honestly say, is where I've learned a lot of my handling abilities because it's completely different than the bench.
Right.
You have to be on your game, and their game's completely different than ours.
Boy, did I know, I figured that out quick. Holy crap. I put on that penguin suit a couple times. I was like, this ain't me. That ground game, when folks really have the ground game dialed in and you really see a dog moving well, that it's really important.
It is.
And it's really important as well. Folks don't understand. Um, I made a joke to my girlfriend one time. She was tracking a dog. I said, "Now put a cup of water in your hand and do the same thing and don't spill it." And she said, "Why would you do that?" I said, "Why would you do that? Because if you spill water, it means you're unbalanced."
Yep. I That's very true.
That's right. That's an old Silas trick. He shows an
That,
AKC. And it's something that people don't understand is if you are rough in your gait, the dog will be rough in their gait.
yep.
And a lot of people don't understand that. And
No, they
it's a big part of it. It's a big part of it. And you do AKC as well, right?
I've done a little bit of AKC, not as much, but I've done a little bit of it, yeah.
Yeah, I've done some AKC confirmation stuff over the years, and many people's heard me say it. It's just not my forte per se. Um,
Right.
but golly, man, I just absolutely love to watch a dog move. When a dog's
Yeah.
moving on the ground, and you can really pick them apart, and you can see with their faults, the good and the bad. Only thing I don't care about is if I'm in the woods hunting, that dog is not 6 foot in front of me. And I've been to some major, major AKC events, and I see these hounds way out in front of people. And I'm not picking. I'm not picking at nobody. I'm just stating what I feel.
Yeah.
In the woods, you do that in the woods, you get drugged down.
Yeah.
It's so in my opinion, these are tree walker coon hounds, plot hounds. What these are hounds that are meant to
Mhm.
hunt. And it's hard for me to watch these dogs really running around a ring. How do you make that transition from AKC to UKC and keep that stamp that gait? What kind of gait do you like?
Personally, I feel like if your dog looks good at a speed walk, that's how you get your dog. If your dog looks good, if you have to, I feel if you have to run with your dog to make them look that good, you're hiding false. You're not. You're doing something. And I also feel like certain AKC, like certain people who have the bigger, like the herding dogs and stuff, that the hounds feel like they have to keep up with the herding dogs. So that I feel like that's kind of where some of the running is coming place because the German Shepherds and your Border Collies and your Aussies are all 6 foot out in front of you.
Afghans.
Yes, Afghans. But I just personally feel like you gate your dog how they're supposed to be gated, and that should be the end of it. It shouldn't change in judge's opinion.
Yeah, what threw me for a loop was is when I was UKC in and out, and then I switched over doing a little bit of UKC confirmation, and I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing it. But when I made that flip to AKC, I was in a totally different ball game.
Yeah.
That's a different world. And for y'all that don't know out there, I'm not knocking AKC in no means. I'm just saying you better do your research before you go to AKC.
Yes.
What's been your feeling on that?
I went to an AKC all breed show like a year ago, and I showed in junior showmanship, and the junior showmanship is completely different than the UKC junior showmanship. I was like floored when I seen that. But it's an experience and it's fun to watch. And I enjoyed myself a lot and I had a lot of fun doing it. It's definitely something that I would like to get into a little bit more and learn more about to see how fully I want to go into it. But there's definitely things that I like about AKC and there's definitely things that I don't like about it, but there's things that I don't like about UKC that I like about AKC a little better. But
Right.
that's with any organization.
They all have the good and the bad.
Yep.
They all have their good and the bad. Nothing's perfect. I have cut my teeth in UKC and I just love it. I love it. I love the
Right.
judges. I mean, even when I'm not picked, I still love them. I don't care. Yeah, I like going in there, setting a dog up on the bench and whoa, you
Right.
know, and when you
That's
hit that whoa
definitely what
stance,
happens when you tend to set a dog up on the bench.
that's exactly right. Whoa. It's just like, don't move. And to me, I've noticed that from my experience, it's a different feeling. It's a completely different feeling, and I enjoyed. We went and won a big all breed down in
Mm-hmm.
Ocala, Florida, and I was showing him a penguin suit, and we won it with Stella, and my gosh, did I feel out of place because I felt like everything I'd done was wrong.
Yep.
And then I get in the finals, and the judge literally looks at me, and thankfully he was an old UKC judge, and he
Oh,
said, "Son, he said you got a UKC bench dog. Show it like one."
yeah.
I said, "Oh, well, I went out there and just done the UKC thing, and boom, we won."
Yeah.
But it took having that inner confidence of, "Hey, man, settle down." And there's people out there in AKC that'll do that,
Yeah.
and they'll really let you kind of do your thing with hounds. What has been your experiences with it?
Honestly, I it's definitely a complete switch from, like the biggest piece for me was in junior showmanship, if you stack a dog like you do on the bench and you let go of that lead and everything else, you're not winning. It's not happening. And that was where I'm like, okay, I have to learn how to set a dog in confirmation style. But honestly, learning how to do that has helped me with so many dogs. There's a lot of dogs where you can't just set them all the same. You have to set them differently. And some of them stack better when you stack them the way you do it on the ground.
Right.
But it was definitely a learning curve. And it took me a while, but it made me a better handler in the end.
And that's what it's all about. And that's why I had the
Mm-hmm.
junior showmanship, and then you work your way up through this. And it's pretty amazing how they do it because I tell you one thing, there's some real handlers out there.
Yes, there
There's some
is.
real handlers out there. And I was watching down in Orlando. I was watching everybody. and seeing 15, 16-year-olds, and they were twice as good as I was. I was like, are you kidding me? Look at how good these, and even younger than
Right.
that, they were just absolutely amazing. And they never, like you said, they never took their hand off that lead. It was always on the lead. And I
Hmm.
was like, this is just bonkers. I was lost. I was out of place, but it's really interesting to see the differences between the two.
It is.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. And also in movement around the ring and stuff like that, because in UKC, judges don't want you running.
Nope.
They want to see that dog gate. They want to see him come straight back, and then you do your round, and they want it good and smooth. And
Yep.
that's if I was to hear anything a judge say consistently in UKC, and you'll probably agree to this, is straight down and back, good and smooth.
Yep.
That's
That's
the comment.
honestly, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that good and smooth, in my opinion, that good and smooth, they're just wanting to see that dog in a natural movement
Yep.
so they can see the faults, and you're not being able to hide it. You
Yep.
know, years ago there was a judge, Hannah. He said, "Son, you got the dog to win it. If you come in here with that AKC stuff and run him around the ring, I won't even look at you." I said,
I,
"Yes, sir. I want my dog in there."
you're right.
I still didn't win, but the thing is the whole point behind that is everybody's different. Every judge is different. Every judge wants a dog displayed different per se. What is the hardest thing you've learned as far as handling a dog on the bench and keeping that dog ready?
The bit hardest thing for me was I would always want to fidget.
Mm,
And as soon as I would start fidgeting and poking and pulling and everything else, every dog I showed, no matter if it was mine, someone else's, anything, they'd fall apart. And
overworking
I've
them.
learned just to sit there and just stack them and pet them and talk to them, and it keeps me calm and it keeps them calm. But
And it
that's
works.
honestly, I think that's the hardest thing I've come.
Yeah, a lot of folks say I had someone message me a long time ago. They said, "Why do you always just sit there and talk to your dog and don't really stand it up until the judge gets close?" Well, number one, I don't want to wear my dog out because sitting at a stance like this, I call it the tactical stance. But when they're locked in and they're being real still, I want a person to try to be real still as long as these dogs have to do it. I
Yep.
promise you, you get on your tippy toes, that's hard. And you have to build up ligament strength and you have to build up muscles. And
Yes.
that comes into what you're talking about, the training, the endurance. And how often do you train?
I work my dogs at least every day for 15 minutes.
That's my point.
I
That's my
mean,
point.
maybe if I get back from a show on Sunday, I'll just let them be a dog and they'll get to kind of run around, but they're still doing something.
Right. Right. And active, and that's the most important thing is a good active dog has a good foundation, which means he has a good overall strength of body per se. And when you have that, they can do what you ask of them because you're showing almost every stinking weekend, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you
I've
just
had
had a
one weekend off all summer.
holy crap, one weekend.
4th of July was the only weekend I've had off.
You're burning up the roads. Golly. So, over the years, what has been your favorite breed and what has been your favorite dog?
My favorite breed is definitely Plot Hounds. I love their personality. You just can't beat them. I, they're just, they're so loyal, and you can't beat that. And they're so willing to please. When it comes to my favorite dog, I always have to go back to Gambler.
Yeah.
He's my first show dog. He was the first dog I ever trained. I've won so much with him, and he has a personality of no other dog I've ever even been around.
And those are rare.
They're definitely rare, especially your first ones.
That's exactly right. My first one was old hunting dog. He was okay looking, but I got my butt whipped. But Gambler was sharp. I liked Gambler.
Thank you.
Yeah, he was sharp and he was a great hound. You done a phenomenal job with him. You really did.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
absolutely, absolutely. What's the hardest thing for you to learn to do in the show ring in UKC?
That's a hard question.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Watching the judge and
Mm.
following the judge, but still focusing on my dog is probably the hardest thing I've had to learn in the show ring.
So glad you said that. That is one of the biggest missed things in the world right there. Keep an eye on that judge. I
Hmm.
always say if the judge is not working my dog, neither am I. That's my time to fix him.
Yep.
If a judge is actively looking at that dog, don't be fiddling with him.
Nope, don't touch him. He is
Just
what he is at that moment, and you don't fix him. If he's got something wrong, just hope the judge don't see it.
and just hope you have him in the right spot at the right time. You
Yep.
know, but that comes from watching them. And I'll watch the judge, male or female, at the other end. And as they get close to me, I start tightening up what I do. But I do not want to tighten that dog up until that second has to happen.
That is one of the most important things that I have learned is letting a dog relax until a judge gets close enough to where I can really see him. Or if I see the judge is looking at my dog out of the corner of his eye, I'll make sure he's where he needs to be. But otherwise, that's hard for a dog to stand there like that.
It's rough.
You know,
it's
and
well,
that's definitely like one thing at home that I train on is stamina of standing on the bench and just being where they need to be and not pushing back, not doing all this other stuff, is just standing there. Because when you
and
get up to Oaks and everything else, you're up there for a while.
and you're showing against the best.
Yes.
You know, you're not just the best handlers, but the best dogs.
Yes.
The dogs that are there at Oaks and Grand American Winter Classic, your Southeastern Tree and Walker Days, those hunts, folks, you better be on your game. You better be on
Yes.
your game because I'm telling you that everybody there is there to beat you, and they got the dogs
Yes.
to beat you too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Andy Elburn, her and I had a big showdown up there at Grand
Oh, yeah.
American. Oh, I was a nervous wreck showing against because Andy is so talented. She's a great handler, and there's so much, just as you said earlier. I kind of grew up around Andy. We were never really friends, but I watched her handle dogs and always respected the way she handles the dog and the way she judges.
Yeah.
She's a great judge. There's a lot of amazing judges out there, Lee Kearns, and golly, I can go on and on and on. Up your way, who has kind of been your role model?
Um, well, when I first started, it was Angie Cable. Bill Scheniger is probably one of my biggest role models who I look up to and I aspire to be like. He's just an all around good person and he'll do anything for anybody. And he's just a jack of all trades and he'll learn anything and do anything. But honestly, when it comes to in the bench show world, who I kind of my role model is some of the younger kids who are younger than me because when I'm not exactly doing my best or anything else, it's I look at them and I see how hard they're working and I'm like, that used to be me.
Yeah,
And it makes me want to work harder because I know that they're watching because I know that a lot of them want to learn and keep growing and keep doing better.
yeah. Well, you got your Jake
Um,
Brooks because you're competing against Jake Brooks. You're competing against Jordan Brooks. I mean, Jordan's
mhm.
another tough one to beat. Lee,
Yes, she is.
you know, and
We've
it,
had many showdowns, me, her, and Jake.
yeah, y'all three have went round and round and round and round. You know, so what is it like
Yeah,
competing against Jake and Jordan?
they make me work. They make me work for it. They make me sweat. They definitely do. And the dogs they pack around, they make you sweat just themselves.
That's right.
But honestly, I love that. That makes me having good competition who with people who work just as hard as you do and who want to win and who want to show their dog the best they can. That makes it more fun.
It does.
Yeah, it makes it harder to win, but it makes it feel a lot better when you do.
Oh man, boy, when you do it, chill bumps start running, don't they?
Yeah.
Oh, Lee. And there's nothing like good friendly competition, you know, and
Yes.
that's something I'll compliment you on immediately anytime we've ever shown against each other. Anytime you walk out of that ring, you compliment everybody. And that's a great attitude to have. And just so you know, it's refreshing and we appreciate it.
Well, I know that a lot of people don't hear like, hey, you did, even though you may not have won, you still did a good job in that ring. And
Yeah.
I know what it feels like to not always hear that. And it's definitely something, you treat others how you want to be treated. And that's just how I've been raised and how I've been taught.
Yeah. Yeah. You have been in any competition hunts lately or?
I hunted at Indiana State Youth this past weekend. We did not win our cast, but we had it won until the last 10 minutes of the hunt and then we lost it.
Oh no, what happened?
Well, our strike opened back up, and Joe was nice and far away from us, and he was trailing, but he hadn't opened yet or anything. And another dog got treed, and her dog ended up having a coon, and then another boy got treed. His dog had a coon, and he ended up winning the cast with 250 plus, and
Oh
I had
man.
200.
Oh no.
And the other girl had 225.
Wow, it was a showdown, huh?
It was right there.
Wow. And so that made that hunt fun, huh?
It did.
Yeah.
I don't think I've walked that much in a while though. I think we walked almost 4 miles that night in a
Oh,
90-minute cast. It was rough.
oh. Let's talk about hunting a little bit. Folks don't understand that you ladies too, you ladies, especially your age, a lot of you folks are coming up 15, 16, 17-year olds that are dominating.
Hmm.
What is it like in these youth casts now and how competitive they are?
They just the ones that I have been in, they are extremely competitive, but I've also seen there's been a lot of learning that has went on in these youth casts, which is very refreshing because I know that's what they're there for. But some of them have felt very like adult casts in some of the ones that I've been in. But I've been lucky enough, and almost always had a good judge and a good guide, and been with either some kids that I do know or very respectful kids.
Right, right. Y'all don't have much of the drama like we do.
I guess not, at least not the ones I've been in.
Oh, mercy. I tell you, it's everywhere. It's
Oh
everywhere.
yeah.
But no, I'm glad to hear that in the youth hunts, they're putting on such great quality hunts. And you
Mm-hmm.
just won the bench show this weekend as well, right?
Yes, I did.
So the overall Indiana State hunt went to you, huh?
Yes, it did. I was showing my 11-month-old puppy. Cherry Creek got y'all shook up.
He is beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's he's definitely been one who's pushed my patience, but it's because he growed very awkwardly for quite a while, but he's bringing it all together, and he definitely showed what he can do this past weekend.
Yeah, I think you got you something special there, Hannah.
I, I hope so.
Yeah, he's really nice. He's really nice. He's one of the nicest hounds I've seen you handle in a long time. I really like him. I think you're gonna do a
I
lot of winning
appreciate
with him. How hard is it to learn competition coon hunting?
it. Honestly, it's not as hard as people make it sound. My Uncle James is actually the one who taught me. We went out and we hunted, and he kind of, I read the rule book, went over it, and we'd practice in the woods. And if your dog's doing what it's supposed to be doing, it's not as hard.
Yeah.
But honestly, learning when to say what, like, hey, your dog's over here, it's not doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, but everyone else in the cast is up here and trying to get to this dog's tree. You kind of got to play a little bit of the handler game there and kind of figure out something I definitely did had to figure out on my own of, hey, I'm trying to win this cast, not lose it.
Because there is a handling aspect of it.
There is.
And do you think, would you say that would probably be the hardest part of it?
Yes, I definitely do. Well, sometimes it makes it hard when you get a bunch of good handlers that are all together and everyone's, playing their own game, so to speak. And it's just a matter of figuring out, hey, you can't do that. That's against the rules, kind of calling them on it. But it's definitely a little bit of a mind game as much as it is your dog doing what it needs to do in the woods.
I've drawn a few young ladies over the years, and they were sharp as a tack. I was like, whoa. I was like, well, y'all are definitely judging. They will keep the record straight, boy. In both times that I drew the same Lakeland, I think is her name.
Yep.
Lake is that
Yep.
correct?
Lakeland Reynolds, I believe.
Yeah, I drew her down here in Georgia, and
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a rough cast with a fella, and boy, she put him in his place. I said, "You go, girl." I was just sitting back, like, "All right, I ain't got to handle nothing." But it's good to see you ladies knowing your stuff and
Mm-hmm.
showing up. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I don't see no reason why the ladies shouldn't even hunt more. There should
Right.
be
Well,
more.
if I'm being honest, the reason why I know a lot of girls who know 100%, hey, what's the difference between right and wrong on their rule books and everything else, is because if not, we get told we don't belong in the woods. And that's the whole reason why there's not as many girls out there, because there's not that many girls who have the confidence of, hey, I've got this. I know what I'm doing. They can't tell me any otherwise.
What you just said is the confidence to stand up and say, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
You do belong in the woods. Everyone belongs in the woods.
Yep.
If you want to do it and do it good enough, then get out there and do it.
Exactly.
If you want to be a ball player, you want to cheerlead, it takes effort
In
to do
everything you do.
everything. And you have put in that effort, and it has shown through your hounds, through your attitude. Your sportsmanship's phenomenal. Um, Now, in school, did you do any FFA? Do you currently anything?
So we actually do not have FFA in the school that I am in. Um, I really, honestly, I don't really do much through school. I just kind of, I'm there throughout the week, and when that bell rings, I'm out of there and I'm home to my dogs.
Yeah, yeah. So
Really,
your dogs are your world.
this is my sport.
Yeah, that's your sport. And I sure hope you stay with it because I'm telling you, the confidence that you already have, people are starting to look because you're starting to win and it's good to see it. And you got a good attitude, man. And keep that attitude up because I respect the hell out of it. I really do. I respect it.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And I think that you deserve the respect for being out there with the guys and going for it. And for anyone to ever say, oh, the lady doesn't belong in the woods, they're wrong. Everyone belongs in the woods, in my
I
opinion.
agree.
What would you say is the hardest thing rule book wise that you better learn?
I would honestly, for me, the hardest piece is keeping track of everyone's score and keeping it right without having to constantly kind of look, hey, Judge, can I see that scorecard? You know what I mean?
All right.
That's honestly the piece of, hey, well, this happened. Well, that got deleted because this happened. You know what I mean? That's honestly been the hardest piece for me to keep up with.
Yeah, because
Is
when you start deleting points and splitting points, and that's
mm,
part we can get really deep into it, folks. And that's something about raccoon hunting is it's not just plus, minus, and circle. There's deletions, there's times you split points, there's all kinds of rules. And I mean, Hannah, you want to fill me in on that?
I've been in a couple situations where there was no coon seen, but my dog was on that tree, but he never was struck in or anything. And I'm like sitting here trying to minus myself. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I don't get anything. She just not got anything going on. And when I've kind of had myself to where I was losing a cast, that I was actually winning. And we get back to the track, and I go to scanning the scorecard, and I'm telling the wrong guy, congratulations. And they're telling me, congratulations. And I'm like, I didn't win that cast.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's definitely something to kind of, you got to know it, and you want to be right, because if you're not, it can throw a lot of things off. And
Know them in and out. If I was to say anything to anyone, it's just know your rules. Know your rules.
yeah.
If you know your rules and you know your dog as good as you know those rules, and that dog's decent, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna win.
It's actually kind of funny. I've actually won, the most that I've won have been with dogs that I've never hunted with before. And that's the crazy piece is I don't know if it's because I'm more alert, because I'm like, hey, I heard this dog on a video and I gotta go out here and call this dog, and I'm going off of what the person said. But that's honestly been when I've won the most in a hunt.
Yeah.
Is when I have no clue what I'm hunting and I'm just out there doing my thing.
Well, because you're just living in the moment,
Right.
and then once you do figure out that that's that dog, you're tuned into it.
Mm-hmm.
And how important is knowing your dog's mouth?
That is one of the most important things, and that is something that I do give Kevin Cable, my brother, credit for. When I was younger and I was with him all the time, he'd play dogs barking on his phone, and he'd have me guess what dog it was, and that has honestly helped me a lot when it comes to hunting,
Yeah.
because I can differentiate. Hey, that's that dog. That's this dog. This is mine.
Yeah.
Because every dog has a tone. No two dogs are the same, no matter how close they sound.
That's exactly right. And speaking of Kevin Cable, folks, if for those that don't know, Miss Hannah, will you tell some of the accomplishments Mr. Cable has had?
Well, Kevin he started hunting adult hunts, I believe, when he was 8, and he started winning adult hunts at 8. And won the PKC World with Money in the Bank. He won the Pup Shootout in 2015 with big money. He's won, I believe, the Pro Sport race with little money. He's made his own bloodline, and he's done a lot. And he just actually a couple weekends ago he won 43,000 with a Willie dog of all things.
But that goes to show
He
you
did
what a
it.
great handler he is and breeder.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, and
He,
Kevin's a great dude. He really is. And so is Miss Angie. I like Miss Angie. And Angie shows as well, and she has some
yeah,
phenomenal hounds over the years.
yeah, that she definitely has.
Yeah, she really that's another one that's boy, she's a good handler. She's another competitor. They're real deal. And Kevin in the woods, he's a great competitor. You know, so and I would imagine that when you grew up in that atmosphere, you had a little competitive edge there, didn't you?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So have you and Kevin went head and head in the woods yet?
We have not. We have avoided that, but we have went head to head in a bench show before,
Uh-oh.
and that didn't go very well for him.
You whooped him.
I did.
All right. Well, we're gonna give you one for right now. Kevin, you better step up your game, man. Oh man. What would be some fundamentals that you would tell them right off the bat you need to learn and teach that puppy to show?
To show, um, to walk on a leash is probably one of the biggest things. Of hey, if I'm stopping, so are you.
Right.
It definitely, I would say, walking on a leash and get them out, socialize them. That is something that so many people, it's okay. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Take them. If you're going for a car ride, load them up. Go. It doesn't matter if it's just down the road.
Right.
It's one of the most important things. And honestly, with my younger puppies who don't know much, I just get them on a bench. I don't necessarily always have to stack them. I just get them used to being up there and being okay with being up there, not being scared and everything else. Just used to it. I'll get them up there and I'll just sit there and kind of pet them or I'll play with them. Or
Yeah.
that's honestly something that I've found that has actually helped me train puppies.
Yeah. People used to say, well, what is the deal with you and the pup cup with Cheddar? Because you know Cheddar's my pride and joy. And you know, I just randomly done a video and it went crazy on Facebook, you know, and I said, well, actually, I do this every day. I mean, he goes with me every day. And I had a gentleman go to the woods with me one night,
Mm-hmm.
he said, I've never seen a dog handled like that. And I was just talking to him like a bird dog and working him. And he
Great.
said, that's absolutely amazing. How'd you get him to learn and listen like that? And I said, time,
Yes.
time. Time is everything. If you spend it
Mm-hmm.
with the hound, whether you're hunting, whether you're showing, that dog, if you spend the time, it will work.
Yes.
It will work. It will do whatever you have to have it, want it to do.
Right.
You know, and dealing with headstrong dogs, which I'm sure you have dealt with. What is your approach to a headstrong dog?
Gambler he was my hardest dog who was if he wasn't doing it, you weren't gonna make him. He had to want to do it. And having him as my first dog and being that headstrong, that made it a lot harder for me, but it made me better in the end. But honestly, I try, and if he decides that he doesn't want to do something, I'll stop fighting with him, but he's going to stand there, or he's going to, wherever he's at, he's either going to sit or he's going to stand until he decides, okay, I'm ready to do this and do what you want. Even if it's for 5 seconds, 30 seconds, it doesn't matter to me. But we're not getting off of the bench. We're not leaving the situation we're in until I'm the one who's in control, because he's not in charge of me. I'm in charge of him.
And that's how you do it, folks. Literally.
You have to be patient.
It,
Dogs have it's taught me so much patience.
they'll
It's
teach you a lot of patience, and they'll also teach you a lot about head control.
yes.
People do not understand head control. And it is one of my biggest things for hounds in the woods, bench, whatever. Folks, if you got control of that dog's head, you got control of the body.
Yep.
It's that simple. I mean, it literally is. And there's different ways to get control of the head. But I tell folks, there was a lady the other day, and we were speaking, and she said, "How do you get the dog to stand?" I said, ma'am, what does that dog do when you put it on the bench? Yeah, he just moves his head. Of course he does. He said, I mean,
Exactly.
that's what they do. I said, I want you to every day put him on that bench, stack his front feet, hold that head, and every time he moves, whoa, whoa,
Hmm.
whoa. You don't have to pinch them to death. You don't have to squeeze too hard, but that consecutive whoa, by the time you move your hand, eventually they'll just straighten
Yep.
themselves. It's just that little bit of
100%.
repetitiveness.
Whatever works for you, you have is whatever you decide. That's whatever you want to say, do, whatever. Just be consistent. If you're
Consistency.
inconsistent, if you're inconsistent, the dog doesn't know what you want. So they're trying to do what they think you want or what they think they want to do,
Right.
but it's still not going to be what you want because you haven't been consistent with them.
That's exactly right. And then it gets confusing because then they're like, what do you want out of me?
Right. And that's how problems arise.
That's exactly right. Leaning back or leaning forward and buckling, all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
I've seen some amazing hounds.
Yes.
I had one years ago, locked and loaded. He was beautiful. Lock would buckle, and he
Hmm.
didn't do it naturally. You put him on that bench, he tried so hard, he would just knuckle over. And it was
Yep.
just like, what in the world? But again, Hannah, it stems back to what you were talking about earlier. I was picking at him, pushing him too hard, getting too
Yep.
much out of him. Folks, your dog
Hmm.
is what your dog is, right?
Yeah. That is one thing that I have learned is you just gotta let them be what they are. And if you're sitting here trying to hide faults or hide this or move this, it's never gonna work because all it's gonna do is show right back up as soon as they move again or anything else.
Because then you're going to have to take a picture
Yep.
and
Yep.
everybody sees the pictures, and
Yep.
it's amazing how different, though, a dog can look in a picture. And then you see them in person and they look completely different.
Yep.
I mean, I have seen that numerous times. I have been like, wow, look at that dog. And I show up and I go, that don't even look like the same dog,
Right.
or I've been there and been like, kind of, I'm not real big fan of a dog. And then see it in person and go, whoa, where'd that come
Right.
from?
Yep.
It's so funny how that can work like
It
that, isn't it?
really is. I always say a picture is just a moment in time. That's all it is.
It's a freeze.
Yep.
It's a freeze. It could have been the wrong freeze.
Right.
Or them times where they catch you in awkward smiles or something.
Right.
So do you do any other types of hunting?
I do a little bit of turkey hunting. This is my first turkey fan. That's actually on my wall back here. I got
Congratulations.
that past youth season. My boyfriend Wyatt Claypool, he took me hunting opening day, and I was lucky enough when I got a pretty decent bird opening day, and
You
it
smashing
was
it.
it was very exhilarating. I've never felt a feeling like that.
So tell me about that moment.
Oh, I don't think I've ever shook that bad in my life. It
So,
just
so how did the
seeing him
hunt?
come in.
Yes, tell me how the hunt set up and what happened.
So we got there real early in the morning. We had a blind set up back in the trees, and we set up our Jake decoy and our pen decoy, and we just all morning long heard them gobble. They were going at it, and the three birds that actually come in were the last three birds off the roost. And I had one Tom. He come in half, kind of halfway strutting. He wasn't too sure about it. The other two kind of stayed back. They're like, I don't like that. But he come in, he's gobbling everything else, and it was exhilarating. And he kind of come up and he popped his head up beside that decoy, and I just one shot, he was down and he was done.
Done.
It it was it was definitely something that I've never experienced before, and something that I would definitely do again.
It's exhilarating.
Um,
That turkey hunting. It's fun.
it is.
Did he drum for you?
He did a little bit, not as he did just some, but oh my goodness,
Is that drumming not crazy?
it's crazy.
Yeah, I've told folks before, if you've never heard a turkey drum, you need to go experience it.
Right?
I mean, folks,
It's
the ground rattles. It's the
yes, it does.
And it's like, oh, what was that?
Right.
Man, that is so cool. So congratulations on your first bird.
Thank you.
I imagine you plan on tagging out on another one this coming year, huh?
Oh, 100%. I'll just have to be an adult this time. I do actually plan on going deer hunting this year, this youth season. I do plan on trying that. That'll be something new for me.
You getting that fire. What is probably one of the funniest moments you have ever had in the woods?
Dang, that's hard to choose.
You can say a couple of them. That's fine.
It was actually one this past coon season. Joe, he was 700 yards. He was straight up on property we thought he had no business being on, but when we got there, he was on property that we were good with. Well, we only thought that there was one coon in the tree, and we go to shoot it out. Well, this one comes spider monkeying down, just full blown, just out. And it hits the ground. It rolls probably 5 or 6 different times, and it just takes off. Well, then I'm like, well, crap, they were on our coon. Well, then the other one that we actually shot falls right out, right on top of Joe. And he shakes it once and it's dead. It's done. He wants nothing to do with it. He's just done. That was honestly probably one of my funniest moments in the woods, but honestly terrifying because we were right underneath of it. I thought it was coming out right on my face.
Years
But it
ago,
was,
my mom was hunting with my dad, and they had a friend from up north come down hunting down here in Florida.
mm-hmm,
And they walked into a tree, same thing. My mama stepped back, and the guy that was with daddy, he said, "Hey, Janice," he said, "if you would, go ahead and shoot that coon out." My mama's a good shot. So she
mm-hmm.
stepped back with that 22 rifle. Wow, she shot. Boom, coon fell. Boom, another one fell. She shot two coon, one shot right in the head.
Oh my goodness.
That fella
That
looked at
is
my daddy.
crazy.
That fella looked at my daddy. He said, "Wayne, you better not piss her off."
Oh
There's some amazing moments that you can share with
yeah.
folks, and if I was to tell anyone out there that has never experienced raccoon hunting, meet up with someone like your young handlers here at the hunts, get to know them, talk to them. There's so much that can be learned about the
Mm-hmm.
outdoors and hounds.
Yeah.
And experiencing this live in the woods is a completely different ball game, isn't it? I'm going to give you, and this is an opinion, and Hannah, this is strictly my opinion. Um, when you're wanting to show dogs and you're wanting to get into the show dog industry, start out with the best dog you can get. Shop around, folks. Don't settle for a $150 dog and expect you're going to come out here and try to beat Miss Hannah. I can tell you right now, good luck. Good luck, because this young lady right here, she's packing some heat, but she's doing it because you have put in your time. You have found out what they're supposed to look like. You have listened to the people that you've looked up to and your
Mhm.
brother. I mean, you have got some amazing role models. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Kevin's A+ in this sport, in my opinion. He's amazing. What he has accomplished may not ever get done again, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Hell of a heck of a breeding program, and I just really commend him. I commend you on your sportsmanship, and Miss Angie as well. Y'all are all incredible, but folks, do not think you're going to buy a $150 dog and go out there with Kevin Cable and think you're going to win it. You might get lucky every now and again, but I'm going to tell you, you better know your dogs. You better have a quality dog. And if you want to show up to these big hunts and you want to compete, don't whine about getting beat. It happens.
Yeah.
You can have the best dog, but I'm sure, Miss Hannah, there's been many times you've had the best dog and you got beat, whether it was in the woods or on the bench, because of opinions, correct?
And there's been quite a few times where, I may have had the best dog out there, but I wasn't showing that dog to the best of my ability. So therefore I lost.
Exactly.
And that's honestly, I agree with you. If someone who's starting out, get the best dog that you can possibly get. Starting out with a puppy is so hard, it's not even funny. Yes, it makes you better in the end, but if you start out with a good puppy and you go to all these big events, it hurts your confidence when you just keep getting told, keep trying. Out next time, you'll get it next time, and it just that next time never feels like it's gonna come.
Right.
And honestly, it hurt my confidence for a long time. But then me and Gambler, we figured it out, and we've done a lot of winning since then.
Yeah.
But definitely get one who you can teach you what you need to know, and then get a puppy.
That's exactly right. Don't just jump into this game because
No.
I mean, get to know folks, talk to people, talk to the best breeders out there. And what's amazing is your Kevin Cables, uh, everybody in the sport is so open to talk if you just talk to them.
Yeah.
Everybody seems like they'll pretty much help you. That's been my experience over the years. Very few people I've ever reached out to has never said no. I mean, they've always, yeah, man, what can I help you with? So if you're
Right.
ever wanting to get into the sport, don't be scared to reach out and ask for help because none of us
Yeah.
know it all, but some of us have a lot of experience. I mean, you got how much
Right.
experience now?
I've definitely got my fair share. I've been 6 years in this, and I've went through a lot of different experiences. And
And
anyone who ever messages me, I always tell them I may not know how to fix it, what to do, but I'll at least help you try and figure it out.
yeah. And remember when you're showing dogs, folks, opinions. That's what you're dealing with. It's a judge's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You may have the best dog out there to you, but to that judge, it may not be.
Yep.
And so you just remember that when you're coming into this sport, this is an opinion sport. You're asking for a judge's opinion. So when you show up, hey man, get ready because you never know. You may have the
Right.
best dog and you may think you have the best dog, but there may be a judge out there that finds a fault in that dog and goes, hey, you didn't see it, I saw it.
Right.
And that's why every time I show, if I get beat or if I win, I always go to my judges and I say, what can I do better? Is there something I need to work on?
Yeah.
And if you do that, it can take you a long ways in the sport.
Sometimes there's just judges who they just don't like your style of dog, and that's just not their personal preference of what they feel the breed is. But in my personal opinion, if you know who that judge is, or you know who those judges are for you and your dogs, don't show to them. You're only making your dog look bad. Don't enter to them. You're not helping yourself. You're hurting your dog.
And yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get frustrated,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna say the heck with it, and that's not the attitude to have, man. If you know
No.
for a fact, then just don't go.
Right.
It's that simple. I mean, then why don't you just stay home and work on yourself, work on your dogs.
Right.
I mean, instead of fussing about it. So, and that's kind of why with UKC, I do like knowing ahead of time the judges. It is kind of
I
nice
do.
knowing.
I
Yeah.
do for the whole simple fact of, all right, like, well, I know that judge has never picked me before. I've showed to it this many times at this many events. I just don't think I'm going to go to that one. Or, well, I actually might have a shot there. They see I've never showed to him before, but I'm going to now.
Yeah. And
I
that's my
definitely do.
favorite ones. My favorite ones are
I
the judges I've never shown under.
I love showing to a judge who not many people know him. When there ain't that many people that know him, they probably don't know them either. So go. You've got a good chance of there not being no politics, no anything. Just strictly judging a dog.
And that's what it's all about, judging the dog. Not us. Not us.
Yep.
The dog. And it is our job. Our job is to make that dog look as presentable as possible in the most correct
Mm-hmm.
manner we can get it. That's our job. I've
Yep.
always said if you can see the handler instead of the dog, the handler's not doing his job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's very, very important. A handler, when you go to picking and prodding, like you were talking about earlier, you get nervous or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. You start seeing that handler fidgeting. I've been guilty of it many times. You can tell they're starting to break down.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple finals and over the years where I've broke down, and it's a good learning curve. I think you're going to be a phenomenal role model ongoing here. And really, it's been fun talking to you here, and I really love competing against you. I don't like it when you beat me, but I'll take it like a man. But really, continued success. I really wish you all the blessings in the world, and keep up the great attitude you have. You're a great role model for the sport.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I
Absolutely.
I love showing in the ring with you. I honestly It makes me sweat, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, it's a lot of fun competing against you, and I like people with great attitudes, and you're one with a great attitude. And folks, I'm going to tell you, be on the lookout for this young lady. She's going to come out swinging, whether you're in the woods, whether you're on the bench, she's coming for you. And keep up that attitude, Miss Hannah. It's a great one to have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah Cable. Have a blessed one, and it was very nice talking to you.
You too. Thank you for this experience.
Thank you. Take care.